Welcome to another episode of What is Hashimoto's with Dr. Martin Rutherford. To find out more on any of our topics, or for information on scheduling a consultation with Dr. Rutherford, please visit us at whatishashimotos.com. And now, here's Dr. Rutherford.
So the topic of the day is, can Hashimoto's cause dizziness? Oh yeah, Hashimoto's can cause dizziness. It is extremely common for Hashimoto's to cause dizziness, and on so many levels. So again, Hashimoto's thyroid controls your metabolism. A big part of it is there's two mechanisms we're going to talk about here. We're going to talk about the hypothyroid mechanism, and the hypothyroid aspect of your mechanism is this. A lot of people come in here, they're hypothyroid, so they're overweight and they can't lose weight, and they're constipated, and they get swelling in their ankles, and so that's the hypothyroid symptoms. And hypothyroid also goes towards, it can actually alter blood sugar mechanisms. Hypothyroidism, despite the fact that you put on weight, can actually cause low blood pressure. Hypothyroid can actually cause low adrenal function. When you have low blood pressure, you have low adrenal function, you may be the person who goes from laying down to sitting, or from sitting to standing, and you like get a little woozy, almost want to pass out. A smaller manifestation of that for someone whose adrenals aren't as bad, whose blood pressure isn't as bad, would be dizziness. I get lightheaded and dizzy. Dizzy's a tough explanation for patients. Patients have a tough time describing dizziness. So sometimes it's lightheadedness, and sometimes it's dizzy. The one I usually cognate on more when one comes in here and says, I've got dizziness, and it's usually dizziness, and a lot of times it's dizziness and nausea, sometimes it's dizziness and imbalance, sometimes it's actually dizziness and vertigo, is that your thyroid has an interesting relationship to your cerebellum, which is a part of your brain that is down here. And I got a little brain that I have right on my desk here for patients, okay? So this is the brain, this is the cerebellum, okay, down here. So this guy, there you go. So this guy right here is your cerebellum. It's called the little brain. And your thyroid has a direct relationship to this cerebellum. And here's how it works. When your thyroid gets attacked, there are by your immune system, because you've triggered it some way, there's a direct relationship in the sense that there are metabolites in this cerebellum that look exactly like metabolites in your thyroid. And so this is something called molecular mimicry. And so when your thyroid gets attacked, in a substantial portion of patients, the cerebellum gets attacked. I have one right now, and she can't take 5 steps without being woozy, because the cerebellum can cause dizziness, vertigo, balance, stiff necks. It can cause you to have anxiety, but those are all different aspects of the cerebellum. The part that causes dizziness and balance and wooziness and vertigo is the cerebellum has projections into your spinal cord. That causes like stiffness in the neck. It'll cause stiffness in your whole back, and it has projections into your cortex. It actually can cause blurred vision, but it also, from controlling nerves that are around your eyes, and if their nerves aren't working right, you'll get blurred vision, and a bunch of other things. But there's another projection from that cerebellum that goes into your inner ear. So what happens when you start getting dizziness, or you start getting balance, or you start vertigo? You start going to the doctor, and then they go, well, we don't know. So they send you to the ear, nose, and throat doctor, and then they look in your ear and they go, everything's normal. There's no infections or anything like that. And you're going like, dude, I mean, like every now and then I want to puke, and then I don't feel very good, and then my balance goes off, and everything's normal. I do an MRI, they do a CAT scan, everything's normal. 99% of the time, if you have Hashimoto's, it's because of the Hashimoto's. It's because when the Hashimoto's has developed, you now develop this molecular mimicry to the cerebellum. So you eat, let's just stay classic here. You eat a piece of gluten that is closely related, was one of the first triggers that was recognized to set off a Hashimoto's response. That gluten also has molecular mimicry, by the way, with the cerebellum. So you eat the gluten, sets off the thyroid and the cerebellum. Next thing you know, you have all the thyroid symptoms, and maybe you have dizziness, and along with that, maybe you have nausea, maybe you have balance issues, and then, I mean, it could even get into migraines and vertigo, and it can blurred vision, stiff neck, and all those types of things. So it's really part of a picture. It doesn't usually just cause vertigo, was why I went into that explanation. I'm sorry, dizziness. It doesn't usually just cause specifically dizziness. Okay, it usually is part of a constellation of symptoms, and that is indicating that projection from the cerebellum into the inner ear vestibular mechanism is being affected. It is common. It is. I can't even tell you how common it is. I can't give you a projection. If I gave you a projection, I would probably say 70% of the time, if a person's got Hashimoto's, they're going to have some aspect of this. So yeah, it's very, very common to have dizziness along with experiencing Hashimoto's.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of What is Hashimoto's? To find out more on any of our topics, or for information on scheduling a consultation with Dr. Rutherford, please visit us at whatishashimotos.com.